talking about Republicans. Joining us right now to continue the discussion, CNN political commentator Mary Catherine Ham, Matt Schlapp, the chairman of the Conservative Political Action Conference, also known as CPAC, who started their big annual meeting just yesterday. Bill Press, a CNN political commentator, a Bernie Sanders supporter, and Barry Bennett, the former campaign manager for Dr. Ben Carson, and now a Trump supporter and advisor to Donald Trump. Great to see you all. So, Barry, first to you, this is pretty extraordinary. I mean, the counterpunch seems pretty easy. You just roll the 2012 video of Donald Trump endorsing Mitt Romney, but is it that easy?
It is. I mean, this is absurd, right? The last CNN poll had 72% of Republicans wanting an outsider. So the establishment is rolling out Mitt Romney to attack Donald Trump. It's ridiculous. They're probably helping Donald Trump. I don't know why they're doing this. This is completely absurd.
Why is it absurd?
Well, I mean, there is no way that Mitt Romney could ever be viewed as a conservative. I mean, he was pro-choice, he was pro-bailout, he's pro-amnesty, he was, pro-global warming. It was ridiculous. And we all swallowed it, and we all worked for him, and he came up 5 million votes short. You know, he lost Virginia, Florida, Ohio, Iowa, Wisconsin, Nevada, and it goes on and on and on. And now he's going to be the great savior of our party? I don't think so.
So, Mary Catherine, I know you've actually made the point that the opposition to Donald Trump isn't just establishment. It's movement conservatism right now. A lot of movement conservatives now who are standing up and saying, hey, not Donald Trump, not ever. But, Mary Catherine, by having Mitt Romney now go out and give this speech and be the most high-profile opponent to Donald Trump, the most, high-profile never-Trump guy, doesn't this make it an establishment movement?
That is what it feels like. And though I hate to agree with Barry, as you know, excuse me, I do think that this is problematic to have him delivering this message. On the scale of political speeches, if you have at one end the Mitt Romney very light punch to the Donald Trump jab, this is certainly more toward Donald Trump for Mitt Romney's style. And he'll say a lot of things that are true, and he'll make some criticisms that many conservatives agree with. And in the end, they will not matter because of the messenger and because of the time. And by the way, this attack on Donald Trump, much like many of the other ones, seems oddly timed, when Mitt Romney could have made probably a bigger difference in delegate count and popular wins. He could have endorsed in Nevada pre-caucus, and that might have made a difference. But this is a little bit past that point, and although the points he will make are true, the messenger is going to be an issue.
But, Matt, is there an argument to make that, I mean, it's easy to poo-poo it because it hasn't worked yet, but who knows? I mean, if Mitt Romney can't speak out on it, who's the alternative?
Yeah, no, I don't fault him for coming out and saying something. I just think the timing is odd.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Matt.
Look, I somewhat agree with Mary Catherine. I'm of two minds in this. I actually think everybody ought to leave it all out in the field. We have days, weeks, or months left in this Republican nominating contest, and we have very sharp differences. And they will be on the stage here at CPAC. And everybody ought to go for it as strong as they can, and that's what Mitt Romney's trying to do. But there's another side to this. It is awfully late. Mary Catherine's right. Why didn't he do this before Nevada? Why do some of the billionaire financiers of our party and our movement think that they can plop in at the end here? They should have started this a year ago if they had these alarms. And I agree with Barry that some of these challenges and some of these attacks that they're making on Donald Trump, they ring hollow. I think Mitt Romney has every right to do this, but I do not think it's going to be that effective. And I think what he's saying to the 40% or so of Republican primary voters who are out there casting these votes for Donald Trump is they're trying to say that their voice doesn't matter. And that is a huge mistake.
You know, Bill, I'm going to ask you to disagree just to make it interesting since everyone's being so agreeable here. But is this now the establishment essentially, biting the hand, that feeds it? The establishment for a long time with the Republican Party has courted Donald Trump and the folks that are now supporting Donald Trump. It was the basis to an extent part of the Tea Party movement. The establishment benefited from that. Paul Ryan wrote it to the speakership to an extent. The Republicans wrote it to a majority. For them to come out now and say, no thanks, it's getting too real now, does that seem disingenuous?
Well, the saddest words I heard this morning and listening to your program are elder statesmen, right? They're rolling out the elder statesman, really? They think he's going to make the difference and be the one to bring down Donald Trump? it. But you're absolutely right. I think the Republican Party has created at least the field for a Donald Trump to emerge. He is brilliantly taking advantage of the occasion, and I think it's too late to stop him. I got to tell you, a couple of months ago, I wrote a column saying if the Republican Party really wanted to stop Donald Trump, they had to do two things. One, the other candidates had to unite behind one challenger, and two, the party poobahs like Reince Priebus and Mitt Romney had to come out and say, no way will we vote for Donald Trump as our nominee or accept him. Even today, from what we hear, Mitt Romney is not willing to say that. Why not? I think the hidden agenda here is Mitt Romney is saying, if you really get stuck, me, 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 me.
Oh, boy.
Barry, let me ask you something. Donald Trump did today what Donald Trump does. He got out. He wanted to get out in front of it. He basically presented his rebuttal this morning on all the morning shows. One of the things that he said on Morning Joe, he was asked because he said, if I leave, everybody's going to leave with me. And they asked, are you toying once again with the idea of running as an independent? And his response was, I signed a letter with the RNC saying I would run as a Republican, that pledge, as they call it, but I'm not being treated the right way. I'm not being treated properly. Thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think that's a Donald Trump. I think that's a Donald Trump bluff. I don't think he'll do that. I don't think Mike Bloomberg will do it either. But the other point that Donald Trump does make is he has really excited people, and he's got new people out to vote in the Republican primaries. And I think that's very, very important. Mitt Romney did not. Mitt Romney cannot. And so Donald Trump's got that going for him. And I think the party's got to recognize that's a real re-energizing of the base that they need.
Barry, I want you to weigh in on this idea of Donald Trump kind of toying again this morning with the concept of an independent run.
I don't think that there's any chance of an independent run. I mean, the only way the establishment wins this is to subvert the will of the Republican primary voters. Because when we get to the convention, you know, Donald Trump is going to have a majority of the delegates. I mean, if Rubio doesn't win 60% of the delegates between now and the 15th, statistically, he can't even get the nomination, let alone the fact that he never won 8 states and all those things. But
Mary Catherine, oh, sorry, go ahead, Barry.
I mean, if they want to wear a bomb vest into the Republican Party and blow it up for the sake of their own power, then no one can stop them doing that, but it's really stupid.
Mary Catherine, you wanted a piece of this.
Yeah, well, here's what Romney can do today. He can put something into the media bloodstream, right? If everyone listens to him, he's got 100% name ID. He'll get up there and say, maybe the guy should release his taxes. The fact is that he can, and maybe that's an issue, but that's an issue that affects traditional candidates, and Donald Trump is not a traditional candidate. And on the part where they endorsed each other back in 2012, I will say Donald Trump's rationale has always been, I will pick the right leaders for everything when I get into the White House. I don't need to know about it right now. I'm going to pick the right leaders. I'm really good at that. He picked Mitt Romney, and now he calls him the loser, and it was an easy election. So I think that speaks to a little bit of his judgment, perhaps, if that's his line.
Matt, and again, we're looking at the lectern right now. There is some activity, so I may have to cut you off and Mitt Romney starts speaking. But I wanted to ask you, Matt, about the vehemence now of the anti-Trump movement, because it is quite strong right now, and you've been caught in the middle of it a little bit. I mean, there are a lot of people very upset that CPAC is having Donald Trump come speak on Saturday. A lot of the Rubio people, for instance, were going after you pretty hard for that. A lot of the Never Trump people going after you pretty hard for that. What do you make of that?
Yes. I'm a big boy, John. I can handle it. But let me just say, we're very proud that all 5 presidential candidates, including Dr. Carson, will be at CPAC. Let me make something very clear. When they come to CPAC, we're so happy they're on our stage, but they're also going to have to answer questions. They're going to have to answer the questions of conservatives. And if conservatives have questions of Donald Trump, they're going to have the chance to ask those questions and of these other candidates. And what this big family food fight we're having as a movement on display in front of the television cameras is not one that many of us wanted, but it is here. We have to embrace it. We have to get through it. We got to take our country back by finally deciding who this Republican nominee is and getting behind him.
Guys, hang on just one second. I think what we're looking at right now at the University of Utah's Jason Perry, the director of the Hinckley Institute of Politics there. He could be introducing Mitt Romney.